Right, would my co-host please mute everyone apart from me? Thank you very much. Right, welcome everybody. Good morning to another Queen's Zoom. Yeah. So over the past couple of weeks, we've done a number of different Zooms. So let me just do a quick bit of housekeeping with you. Have a pen, pad, notebook ready. I say this every week because you are going to get some good food for the brain. Yeah. Good information, good knowledge, good tips. Yeah. Please post any questions into the chat. There is going to be a Q&A at the end. And all that we ask, if you could please raise your hand in the chat, I will come to you. You could give your name. It'd be nice if you had your camera on so we're not talking to a black screen, and where you're calling from. Yeah, so that's a quick bit of housekeeping. So welcome, good morning, good evening, even good night to everybody on the platform. I'm not sure, there might be a couple of kings. I always say good morning, queens, but good morning to the kings if there's any on the platform as well. And we hope you've been enjoying the Queen series so far. Can I get a thumbs up? Yes? Whoop, whoop. Wonderful, wonderful. So wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us on this fantastic Zoom platform. Queens have been rocking, for the past couple of weeks. And today it's the Queen's Black Hair Rocks Part 2. So we did Queen's Black Hair, which was the first Zooming session. And that kind of like just catapulted us into the, into the atmosphere, so to speak. Yeah. So we've continued to do lots of different Zoom sessions. So we've done Queen's Black Hair Rocks. This is part 2 of it. We've done Queens We Ain't Crazy, it's under the menopause. We've done Queens Breaking the Silence. Let's talk about mental health. We've done Queens Stop Eating the Fridge. Yeah, let's talk about diet and nutrition. We've done Queens and Rudy J Media, Black Business Event. And we're looking to hold, there'll be another Black Business Event at the end of this month. We've also done Young, Gifted and Black, Queens Young, Gifted and Black. And that was an opportunity for organisations that are in the community that can support our young people. So that was another phenomenal event. So Queens, we are just rocking the platform with a wealth of information. So I'm going to give you the heads up on some forthcoming Zooms that we're going to be doing. So as I said, we've got Queens and Rudy J Media, Black Pound Day, supporting Black business, and it's like a bargain hunt. So we're going to have, hopefully on the platform, the vendors will be doing some wonderful gifts, special offers, prizes, competitions and more. So I'm really looking forward to next week's session. We're also going to be doing a session on fibroids, endometriosis and polycystic ovaries. We're going to be doing a women's empowerment session, Queens on Fire. And we have got some phenomenal speakers lined up for you. International speakers, and they're going to come and talk to us. And now is a time when we need to be empowered, motivated, positive. So I'm bringing that to the platform in a few weeks' time. We're going to have a session on love, sex, relationships. So that's going to go kind of deep. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that as well. We are also going to have another session, Young, Gifted and Black, with the young people. And this will be an opportunity for us to actually hear from our young people on the ground what they're going through and how these various organisations that we brought to the platform the last time. So for example, we had the 100 Black Men, we had Urban Synergy on the platform, and to hear from them how these organisations have impacted on their lives and helped to shape their destination, so to speak. Yeah, so that's just a little flavour of what we're doing. So what I also want to let you all know is that, the conception of where we're coming from, what my journey's been. So created a walking group, and we are predominantly a walking group. So created a walking group back in June of last year. I'll give you an idea. We've got the Queen's walking calendar, yes. So created a walking group, and we go out each week. We'd walk to a destination within the borough that we live in, South East London. One week it would be exercise with Queen Mary's on the platform. Another week we'd have, we do our walk, we'd have line dancing with Queen Josie, who's also on the platform. And then we'd have a series of speakers coming, etc. And then when our government implemented the rule whereby only one person could meet with another person from a different household to exercise, we had to stop because nobody wanted that astronomical fine. So we had to stop. So I had to learn how to Zoom pretty quick. Yeah? And that's the reason why we're on the platform, but we are predominantly a walking group. And it was really, we came onto Zoom really to ensure that, you know, I wanted to keep my queens engaged on a Saturday morning. So whereas we'd be walking at 8 o'clock, well, we're Zooming instead. And I really hope that once we do our various Zoom sessions, they will feel empowered, provided it's not too cold, it's not raining and all the other crazy weather elements. You know, they'll go out and still do their walk, getting their 10, 15 or 20,000 steps. So as I said, we're predominantly a walking group. Yeah. So let me just check. Speakers, are you ready? Are you in the house? I've seen you already. So Dr. Ingrid Wilson, can you quickly say hi to the people and just give a quick 1 or 2 sentences what you're going to be speaking about, my darling?
Hi, I'm Ingrid Wilson. I'm going to just be talking a little bit about hair loss.
Yes. And we've got Sophie K. Davis in the house.
Good
morning, my darling.
Morning, Joan. Morning, lady. So today I'm going to be talking about my hair loss experience and how I got to regrow my hair from suffering traction alopecia.
Thank you, my darling. And we have Paris, the beautiful Paris Vera from That Good Hair Company. Where are you, Queen?
Hi everyone, I'm at home in London, so good morning everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about avoiding dryness and damage and how to deal with your hair when the seasons are changing. And we all know that we're in winter, which is the hardest season for our hair, so I'm going to be talking about that.
Fantastic. So just a few little things additional to what I've said already. So to hear about the Queen's Walking Group, please follow us on Eventbrite, and then you'll get the instant notifications for when we launch forthcoming events. This Zoom event is being recorded and will be released on the Queen's YouTube channel soon. Yeah, so watch out for that. Yes. And as I said, have your pens, your paper, your notebooks ready for some life-changing information for you all to take away and make that change. It's all about health, and our hair is just as important as our diet, you know, sleep, and all the other optimum lifestyle, you know, things that we need to have in place. So are we ready? We're going to kick off with our beautiful queen, Sophie. You are first on the platform, and I do have a question for you before we kick off. So if you had 3 tips to share, what should every woman include as part of her hair regime for thinning hair?
So morning, beautiful Queen. Morning, Joan. Thank you so much for allowing me on here. So my 3 main tips is basically to know your hair type. So to basically know the difference between the density of your hair. That's one thing. So I know personally that I have fine, high density hair. So once you know that part, then it's easier to determine whether you have thinning hair or not. Secondly, I always use everything silk. So I even when I'm washing my hair, I don't use a regular towel, because with a regular towel, then you're causing manipulation, breakage and stuff like that. So I'm very gentle with my hair, and I try and do things low manipulation. And also the diet side. I personally use supplements. I do take care of my diet on top of that. So then once you add certain essential nutrients to your diet, then that can be something that can be as equally boosting to prevent thinning hair.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, hopefully, ladies, you've taken some notes from that. And it is difficult. I know as you get older, you know, and I've had quite a few ladies mention to me, especially with the menopause, that their hair starts to thin and they kind of like lose quite a lot of hair. So I hope that was really, really helpful to you, Queens. So in the first Queen's Black Hair Rocks event, we shared so much love and appreciation and adoration for our beautiful black hair. Yeah, we've been rocking our hair in so many different styles over the years, whether it's weaving, it's plaiting, it's perming and pressing. But with that in mind, it has caused damage. Yeah. Queens, are you having a bad hair day? Black women in particular are prone to all types of hair loss called traction alopecia, which is caused by heat, chemicals, and light styles. We have pulled together a fantastic panel, and I'm so looking forward to your presentation, Sophie, because this is, you know, you've actually been on the journey where you've actually lost your hair, and for many women, it's absolutely devastating. Yeah, but you're able to share your story with us, how you actually came through and grew your hair back. So please, darling, share your story with us.
Thank you. And am I okay to share my screen with you
Yes,
all?
yes.
Brilliant, fantastic. So let's see. Screen share. And I'm just going to get my presentation up. So here we go. Right, so my name's Sophie, as you all know, and I hope you can hear me clearly as well. So I started a YouTube channel back in September of last year. I think it might have been August actually. And for me personally, the reason why I started was because I suffered quite a lot of hair loss due to actually doing so many sew-ins. I was wearing wigs and weaves, and it was something where I could no longer, my hair was so damaged to the point where I couldn't actually wear wigs anymore, so, or weaves or even braids. It was just so detrimental to my hair. So I started a YouTube channel, and this is an example of one of the wigs that I would wear regularly. And I was spending a lot of money, actually. I was spending maybe £600 a month on wigs and weaves. So this was one wig that I had where it was called 360. Some of you may have heard of it. So what it was is they basically put the wig on and actually create these baby hairs, so you'd have to have it really tight on the head. So it was just causing me major damage, and it actually took out loads of chunks of my hair, which I'm going to show you now. So this is the damage that I suffered from. As you can see here, this is like the right side of my head, and then that was literally basically due to the fact that I was like just doing too many wigs, too many braid outs, and it just took out the majority of my hair. And I was in that state where I was like, I'm never going to get my hair back again. It got to the point where this picture in the middle, I was constantly wearing like these silk scarves just to cover the damage. So on to the next slide. So this was some of these pictures. So these pictures, the ones where my hair was missing, that were like taken from around the January period to June. So the one in the middle, my cursor's not working. So in the mid, this picture here was taken in December. And then this picture here in the middle was around about March time, and then this was June. So how did I do this? I was actually considering having a hair transplant because I was suffering from depression. I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't even know how to maintain my hair. So I actually searched on YouTube. I was searching everywhere for treatments where I could actually regain my hair. And what did I find? I found a derma roller. So I've always heard of the derma roller for actually using it on skin. So this picture here in the middle, this picture was taken in June of last year, and these pictures in the middle is also just my hair as it is naturally, and these were taken in the June period as well. So I used the derma roller. I used it for 5 months. And I was actually just, when I started using it, I was like, no, it's not going to work. I was just kind of like impatient because I just wanted to see the results straight away. But I actually stayed consistent. I actually used it 3 times a week. And I used the sizes that I used is I used a 0.5 and a 1 meter size needle. So the derma roller actually comes with little needles. I think maybe about 300 needles or so. And all you do is you glide it across your scalp. And then they give you instructions as well on how to use it, how to sanitize it, depends what company you get it from, but you can also make sure that you're searching on things like YouTube that has really self-explanatory video on how to use it. So I started seeing results around about a few weeks in. I felt like stubble in the areas where the hair was missing, and then my hair literally just started to grow back. Not only grow back, just the hair strands in general, but it started to grow length as well. So I was really pleased about that. I don't even think I noticed in the end when it actually grew back. So also my hair was like quite short. I did like a bit of I had to cut most of the damage off of my hair. So most of the products that I used this was taken in, this top picture was taken in January, I apologize, January of 2020. Then this one I took in May. And then this one I took in August. So I found that with regular use of certain products, then my hair started to grow length. So I haven't actually done a blowout on my hair since August 2020, and I will probably be doing my next blowout to see what the length looks like and to do like a little trim of my hair maybe in about the summertime. So what do I use? I use a lot of Ayurveda practices, and the main ingredients I use are fenugreek seeds. So Ayurveda, a lot of you may know, it's a traditional, a lot of people use it traditionally. It's an ancient practice. People either will consume things that have Ayurvedic herbs. I think a lot of people use it in India, but it's a lot more commercial now. So I use things like fenugreek seeds, henna powder, neem powder, amla oil, coconut oil, Jamaican black castor oil, rosemary oil. So I use those stimulating oils like rosemary oils, peppermint, and avocado. And those are very good for the hair strands in general, the scalp health. And then it's just good for actually gaining retention, length retention on the hair if you want to grow your hair out. So that's something that I've been using a lot throughout the actual process since I actually started going natural. So these are some of the products that I really do recommend highly. I use this African Pride. I use as a detangler, and that I use black soap from Ghana's Fresh. Since I've ditched actually using shampoos, it's been phenomenal. I use Jamaican black castor oil a lot to add to the thickness of my hair, and rosemary oil. So rosemary oil is one that is so incredible because it acts as a replacement for things like minoxidil or Rogaine. So a lot of people spend copious amounts of money on Rogaine and things like that, medicated shampoo, but all you have to do is get some rosemary oil, add it to your essential oil, add it to your shampoo, and basically you don't have to actually use those other medicated shampoos, and it's actually better for your hair health, your scalp health in general. Another thing I use a lot is henna. So henna is like a protein. Henna actually builds back the hair shaft. It does actually, it does help with the hair color, but mostly with the actual hair strands itself. And then I've noticed that my hair's gone from like an ashy black color to actually a darker color. And that's just through me putting it in the oils. I use coconut oil and bunu. So bunu is something I use as a moisturizer for my hair, and that's used a lot by women of Chad. And that's something that you can use for hair growth as well. And my two main ones that I go to, a lot of people might not like Cantu, but I love Cantu. I use the Grow Strong Strengthening Treatment along with a deep mask. So my ultimate do's and don'ts are here. And I think the screen's been drawn on, but not right. Yeah, so my ultimate do's and don'ts are to do's, I treat my hair like a plant. I learn my hair density. I moisturize my hair regularly. I make sure to drink 2 liters of water as a minimum daily. I incorporate fruits and veg, protein, omega-3 into my hair. I use silk on and satin bonnets on everything. Even this cap that I'm wearing today is actually silk lined. I do scalp massages every single day. And I actually wash my hair weekly. I never skip a wash day because a lot of people are adamant that to actually not to wash your hair every week. If you don't wash your hair every week, then it's just a basic hygiene practice for me. And then I detangle my hair before I shampoo. I also actually love to exercise, and that is where I noticed a difference in my hair health. And also I believe that helps with sebum actually running down the hair strands, which is so important in our hair because it doesn't in natural hair. And then I stick to a consistent routine. I also never, on the don'ts, I don't over manipulate my hair. I keep my hair up out of the way every week until my wash day. And I actually do 2-strand twists of my hair. When I'm washing my hair, I don't use my actual nails. I use the base of my fingertips to wash my scalp. And then you can even use a scalp massager to shampoo your hair as well. I don't use towels. I use silk or satin to dry my hair, and because that leads to breakage. I never skip a wash day. I never trim my hair unless I need to because I want that length. And I also avoid using heat. And also one important thing as well, I used to worry so much about fairy knots, but unless they're causing your hair a really big problem, then I wouldn't actually worry about them. So I actually am an affiliate for 2 companies. So I have discount codes for a company named Garner's Fresh. So Garner's Fresh are something where I actually use a lot of their products to incorporate into my hair products. And then Skin Medics, this is the most important part where I actually got the derma roller. And I'm actually doing discount codes on those. So if you link my channel, then that will actually have the discount codes in my description. And yeah, that they do percentages off of any orders. So it's really worth actually linking my channel and finding those out if you are interested. And that's me for now. Thank you so much.
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Sophie. And what really kind of touched me, when it comes to our hair, it can send you into some really dark places. So, when you talk about depression, how did you kind of like get through what gave you the strength to kind of come at that? Because I mean, it's your hair, isn't it?
Yeah.
What
It
gave
was.
you the strength to?
And it was scary because when I was going into work, I work from home. I was doing 2-hour commutes. So I didn't want to go into work.
Yeah.
But I think it was my partner. He was a big like inspiration, and also my twin sister as well. So, and my mom, you know, my sisters, both my
Had a
sisters.
good support network around you.
Yeah. So my partner, he actually shaved his head. He was like, I've always wanted to shave my hair. So why don't I do it to actually do it while you're actually growing your hair? So he really gave me that confidence to do so. And he's like, you know what, I like your hair. I love your hair as it is. And it was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
It was the mindset. I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be someone else. The wigs, the weaves, the braid felt like I couldn't be me. And I just had that fear. But I think in that time period, I just got to that point where I had enough. I couldn't do it anymore. So, and then the funny thing is the lockdown came at the right time, because I was like, wow, well,
a lot of us, what we're going to do, no hairdresser.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and also I found it a struggle to actually find the hairdresser that I had. She actually disappeared. So I think she knew she couldn't do no more with my hair, firstly. But that gave me the thing where I always had that inkling to do my hair myself. And I was like, why don't you just do it? Just go for it. My twin sister went natural a couple of years before me. So I felt like I had that, you know, that kind of safety blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Like, hopefully, you know, on the platform, it will give a lot of women the inspiration to kind of like, you know, take charge. You know, take charge and say, right, okay, my hair's falling out, or whatever's happened, I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world, because also, as you know, Joan, I've got uterine fibroids, so that is something where it's like an immune thing. So fibroids do kind of aid in hair loss, but it's not the end of the world for women who are if they're going through menopause, if they're going through any kind of underlying health issue. It's not the end of the world. You can grow back your hair.
If you
have issues beyond that's more to do with a scalp, then that's a different subject. But for women who do believe that they have their underlying health issues, I've seen it myself where I've recommended it to ladies and they've grown their hair back. And these are women of all ages, so it is possible.
And it's quite a journey, isn't it, when it comes to the hair? Because I mean, there's a lot of products. I mean, some of the products I use, and I've actually learnt about new products that you use. So it's really, you know, women, I suppose, having a regime, like you said, you know, like having that wash day and, you know, knowing how to use things, etc., etc.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
and it's all about the consistency, because if you're using something for a week, so say like I've got 2 greys at the front of my hair. So I was like, oh, I want to get rid of those. But I consistently put the henna into my routine. And then I don't have them anymore. So it's just all about using those, being consistent and just being patient, and you'll see the results.
And I mean, what I love as well, I'm going to quickly move on to Ingrid, but you know, what I actually love is the mere fact this is your personal journey. It's not really about promoting products or, you know, etc., etc. This is things that you've tried and tested on you, and it works for you.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
You get that message out there. So it might not suit other ladies, but there are products and natural products. And it's really good you said about the shampoo. You don't have to use like the, you know, the ones with all the parabens and things in it. There are natural things you can use to wash and and nourish your hair.
Totally. Totally.
So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you could please ensure that, you know, post like some of the things that you use, you know, and about your wash day, etc. You post it into the chat,
I
you know,
will
and
do.
then also, you know, of course, post your contact details into the chat.
Yeah, thank you, Joan.
God
Thank
bless
you
you.
so
You're
much.
welcome. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story, because I mean, as I said, it's not an easy thing to, when you're talking about losing your hair, it's not an easy thing to talk about. So we really appreciate you coming onto the platform and sharing your story. Wonderful. Thank you. Now we have the amazing, phenomenal, fantastic Dr. Ingrid Wilson, trichologist. Yeah. So Ingrid was on our first Queen's Black Hair Rocks, and she really did rock it. And we had to bring Ingrid back because due to particular constraints, we had some IT issues, we couldn't see all of the presentation that Ingrid had prepared for us. So now we are going to get a wealth of information. And thank you so much for being with us this morning, Ingrid. Really, really appreciated. And this is something that, you know, the topic that you're going to be talking about, a lot of women are suffering in silence with the traction, alopecia, and all the different kind of hair, you know, complaints. But I'm going to hand over to you and let you do your presentation, because I'm so excited to hear, you know, and to be educated in this particular area. I mean, I'm fortunate that I don't have it, but I know there's a lot of women out there who are in pieces because of, especially in lockdown now, where you can't actually go out and get the help that you really want to get. So it's over to you, my darling.
Thank you, Joan, for that very kind introduction. And thank you, Sophie, for sharing your story. There was a lot of really helpful information in there. So I'm just going to play a recording of a presentation. It's basically about lockdown and Black women's hair, as well as some common hair loss conditions in Black women.
But before you start, Ingrid, could you please tell us a bit about yourself? You know, I mean, it was on the, you know, the information that we sent out, but, you know, you're Dr. Ingrid Wilson, medical director and trichologist with a professional background in general practice and public health. So please tell us a little bit more about yourself before we kick off.
Well, I qualified as a GP about 20 years ago. And I'll cover this a little bit in the presentation, but basically I'm a freelance GP. I trained as a trichologist about 10 years ago with the Institute of Trichologists. And that was while I was a part-time consultant in public health. And public health is about looking at information, analysing it and putting it into practice. So essentially what I've been trying to do since then is try to bring together the medical side from being a GP, as well as the knowledge from trichology, because there's a really big issue with GPs not having much training in hair loss conditions. So I'm finding that a lot of people are going to their GP saying, I've got hair loss. GP says, nothing I can do. Occasionally, people might get referred to a dermatologist. Dermatologist may say, nothing I can do, get a wig. And in actual fact, there may be some things that can be done, but the trouble is, looking after people with hair loss takes a lot of time. So when you compare it to something with skin cancer, where you can see the cancer, treat it, and patient goes away, with hair loss, the management takes many months to many years. So that's basically the background.
Yeah. And that was even demonstrated in Sophie's presentation, the actual journey. So it's not a quick thing that's going to happen in a week or 2 weeks. It's really over a good couple of months.
At least,
any change to start taking place. So it's really key to get that message through.
Absolutely, because when I see people with hair loss, I follow them up over a year, because I give them the advice. It takes a little while for people to accept the advice. So I see them I catch up with them in a month, and then catch up with them in 6 to 12 months to see how things have changed, because it does take time. There's no quick fix. And often there are several different reasons that are driving the hair loss. So traction alopecia might be one thing that might be contributing, but things like fibroids, where your periods are heavy, that can also contribute to hair loss as well. And that's that's actually more common than people realise.
Okay.
So,
and what I also, you know, kind of like was drawn to you, you know, there's lots of people out in the world of like, you know, who are trichologists who deal with hair loss, etc. But you actually went through your own hair loss as well. So,
yeah.
you know, we can see where you're coming from on the journey as well, you know, and how passionate you are about it. And you know, I'm trying to understand why is it, you know, especially, do you find there's a lot of Black women that predominantly have hair loss, or is it just across the sphere?
It's across the board. So I see people from all backgrounds, and men and women, but particularly during lockdown, I've been in contact with more Black women, but because I have this hair myself, I'm obviously more interested, and I'm just very aware how little information there has been out there that's really credible. So what I try and do is just collect as much information as I can from papers that are published. I go to lots of meetings, just so that I can give people up-to-date information. So sometimes a patient I might have seen 6 months ago, there might be some new information that's changed in the literature, and I can share that with them, and hopefully that can help with people's hair loss journey.
Fantastic. And it's about also having platforms like this dedicated to talking about topics that affect us. And I know, you know, like I say, people that I know, they've all got different hair stories, you know, hair journeys that they've been on. So thank you very much for that. And I'm so looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Black Hair Rocks. Thank you very much, Joan, for the invitation, and thank you everyone for giving up your time this morning. I don't know about you, but at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, I'm usually tucked up in bed. I hope everyone is coping okay with lockdown, and I hope that this morning will help to make us all feel better as Black Hair Rocks. This period of time that we're going through is extremely challenging, and we are now in the midst of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are all facing challenges, whether we've lost people, suffered ill health, or experiencing financial hardship. It might seem like a luxury to be talking about our hair at this time, but lockdown has changed many people's relationships with their hair, whether it's because there's not enough access to hairdressers, as there once was, perhaps getting out of the habit of making certain adjustments to our hair for meeting the outside world, or even having to face looking at our own images on a Zoom call for long periods of time. My name is Dr. Ingrid Wilson. I'm a medical doctor and a trichologist. I have been a GP for 20 years. I'm a qualified consultant in public health medicine, and I'm also a trichologist. The reason why I mention all these three things is because these experiences form the basis of the services that I provide at my hair loss clinic. The clinic works on the basis that everyone is different, but there are also many different factors often driving hair loss, including genetics, nutrition, disease, medications, and hair care practices. Now, although the clinic does supply wigs, hair pieces, and hair coverings, the starting point is working out the cause of hair loss and finding solutions for which there is evidence of benefit. It's not always possible to completely reverse all hair loss, but the aim is to give people the information that they need to put up a good fight for at least slowing down the progression of hair loss. This clinic caters for all hair types, but as a Black woman with personal experience of hair loss, I have been struck by how difficult it can be to get help at an early stage that can really help make a difference. About 15 years ago, I had personal experience of hair loss, which eventually led me to study trichology with the Institute of Trichologists between 2010 and 2012, because I really struggled to find a course for GPs on how to diagnose and treat hair loss conditions. At the end of 2019, I opened up a hair loss clinic in Crewe because I recognised that there was a problem for people with hair loss getting access to the right kind of help that didn't involve surgery from doctors. Most doctors working in the field of hair restoration are hair transplant surgeons. The ideal doctor to deal with all forms of hair loss is the dermatologist, who is a doctor specialising in skin, hair and nails. But waiting times in the NHS are long, and there are only a handful of clinics in the NHS dedicated to hair loss. And this problem is exacerbated for people with black hair. I'm aware of one hair loss clinic in the NHS for ethnic hair. There may be more, but there's only one I'm aware of. Now, people with afro-textured hair will experience the same hair loss conditions as other hair types, but there are some important hair loss conditions which affect black women more. There is actually very little information on how many black women in the UK experience hair loss, but information from the USA indicates that hair loss is the fourth most common reason for African Americans to see a dermatologist. A US-based survey of African American churches in 2014 found that more than 50% of African American women reported excessive hair loss. 28% had visited a physician to discuss hair issues, but only 32% felt that their physician understood African American hair. And the perceived lack of understanding of black hair and hairstyling practices can lead to delays in seeking help. Although there are differences between the US and the UK's black population, I believe that it's highly probable that the same issue exists here. In the UK, we were very fortunate to have very good dermatologists dealing in Afro hair. But in particular, there's a world-leading dermatologist called Dr. Ophelia Dadsey, who back in 2015 published the first epidemiological study exploring hair loss in women with Afro-textured hair, which concluded that hair loss in black women should be considered a public health issue, as it found that around 50% of its sample of women of African descent experienced some form of hair loss. And that's a real shame, because black hair rocks. It's the most interesting hair type. You can do the most styles with it. It changes the most on washing. And if it's like mine, it can only grow up to the sky. But for historical reasons, it's not always been easy to celebrate this hair type, which is why I'm really pleased that this event has been put on again. And it's an honour to be on the panel along with these speakers, and thank you again, Joe, for putting this on. I really like this photograph because it illustrates the wide range of hairstyles that black women can have. Now, for many of us, lockdown stopped our access to hairdressers overnight, and so many women started to wear their hair naturally. Some people have been covering their hair loss with weaves, and they began to reach out for help because there was no longer the ability to cover it. And women who used extensions and weaves found themselves in a very challenging position of having to decide whether to keep them in, refresh them for themselves, or go natural. Now, some of you may be aware of a company called MS Hair. MS Hair is a London-based company that was basically set up to help hide hair loss, primarily in black women, but it has camouflage fibres that suit all hair colours and hair types. And MS Hair did a survey during lockdown, which looked at how lockdown changed black women's hairstyles for work. So, did it? Yes, it did. MS Hair looked at, they sent a questionnaire to 316 black working women aged 18 to 64 years of age in the UK. And they found that 76% of black women said that they wore natural hairstyles more often during lockdown, which is an increase of 28% compared to before lockdown began. And this suggests that lockdown has indeed helped black women to wear their hair natural more often to work. And obviously we're working at home more these days. However, even though more women were wearing natural hairstyles during lockdown, the survey results showed that an overall reduction of 4% in levels of comfortability in wearing natural hairstyles for work in comparison to before lockdown was present. But in terms of how black women felt returning to work, there was good news. 59% of black women said that they were more likely to wear natural hairstyles at their workplace after lockdown. And so the lockdown has enabled more Black women to feel more confident with rocking natural hairstyles for work. 32% of women in the survey felt that the main reason that they would wear natural hairstyles at the workplace was due to thinking that their hair would be healthier, which makes sense as lockdown has allowed women to minimize styling, which in turn is likely to promote length retention. It's essentially, you allow the hair to rest by reducing friction and subsequent breakage. During lockdown, several Black women reached out to me and shared the challenges that they were experiencing in adjusting to wearing their hair naturally, due to a perception of society's and even family expectations of straight hair being seen as more professional and more acceptable. And the lockdown experience gave those who usually wear wigs an opportunity to confront hair loss, which their wig may have been hiding. So this survey is available online if you go on to mshair.co.uk. And I think one of the standout images is this one, looking at which hairstyles women were wearing to work before lockdown, which were their most preferred hairstyles for work and which were their least preferred hairstyles for work. And what was really interesting was that wigs and weaves were both the most preferred hairstyles and the least preferred hairstyles. Now, I think some of the reason that we choose certain hairstyles over others is convenience, but washing hair is another key factor that we need to take into account. Now, the issue of how often Black women wash their hair has been a very vexatious one within the professional hair loss community. Afro hair needs washing less than other hair types because it stands away from the scalp. Now, each hair is lubricated by sebum, which is produced by sebaceous glands underneath the surface of the scalp. And in the straight hair, sebum finds it easy to travel down the hair shaft. But in curly hair that's standing away from the scalp, that sebum finds it less easy to travel all the way down. So it tends to sit on the scalp. So the hair needs cleansing less often, but it's actually the scalp that we need to cleanse once a week, ideally. Now, I've sat in more than one professional meeting, often as the only Black person in the room when the topic of washing Afro textured hair comes up. And I've been extremely saddened by some of the comments that I've heard from professionals with straight hair who can't seem to understand why Black women don't wash their hair every day. And at one particular meeting this happened, I felt outnumbered, and to my shame, I did not say anything. I was surrounded by a room full of doctors. And I thought, well, you know what, the pen is mightier than the sword. So I've written about this issue for fellow professionals about how often Black women should wash their hair, and also about different types of hair loss that affect Black women. We have limited time today, but I've written on some blogs for the Black Skin Directory and for Afrocentrics as well. I am really passionate about making sure that people in the aesthetics industry are also knowledgeable about Black hair. And during the first lockdown, I started to have some conversations with some people in the aesthetics industry who noticed that there was more hair loss amongst Black women, and also the hair loss, that aesthetics practitioners were beginning to be quite interested. So I wrote 3 articles to the Aesthetics Medicine magazine for June, July and September 2020, which just goes through some of the things to consider if you're an aesthetics clinic thinking about providing hair loss services to Black women. And these articles are available on my link tree, which is called True And. I had more time to write because the clinic had to physically close. And this is what the clinic looks like from the outside. You can actually see out onto the road from the inside. So it's a nice confidential environment. And of course, the kinds of services that I could offer had to change. So before lockdown, I was offering tricho test, which is a genetic test for alopecia. It doesn't tell you about the kind of alopecia you're going to get or that you have, but it tells you about which topical medical treatments or which supplements are likely to help with your hair loss. But this is only for specific types of hair loss, specifically telogen effluvium, which is a form of hair shedding, androgenetic alopecia, which is basically male and female pattern balding, and also alopecia areata, which is an autoimmune hair loss condition. And so eventually, after a few months, started to offer this test as part of a remote consultation. Another thing that the clinic wasn't able to do any longer was PRP treatment. PRP stands for platelet-rich plasma, which is when blood is drawn from you, spun down in a centrifuge, separates out into the platelet-rich plasma part, and is injected using a very fine needle into the areas of hair thinning. Not suitable for all types of hair loss, but is most commonly do it in people with balding. The other thing that the clinic wasn't able to do anymore was a form of hair diagnostics called Tricolab. And basically, Tricolab looks at your scalp using polarized microscopy, and you can actually see just under the surface, and you can see in a lot more detail what's going on. And it can also help to diagnose many hair loss conditions based on classic appearance. So this was kind of the trial that was done on my own hair. I normally don't blow dry my hair straight, but on this occasion, I wanted to see what the effect of blow drying my hair was on my scalp in particular. My defense is that after lockdown, my ends were getting really tangled, so I had a little treat of a blow dry. And you can see that the scalp is very, very greasy and scaly. And this is what happens to my hair after heat has been applied. So one thing that also had to change was that the appointments had to go virtual. And so a new business model was born. On the positive side, I could consult with people over Zoom, and people were really able to reveal the extent of their hair loss from the comfort of their own home. Before, when they came to the clinic, they had to hide their hair loss with a hair piece or hair products or wigs or hats. However, on the negative side, it was less easy to build a rapport with people. And I found that people were finding me in different ways, and they had different expectations of what was going to happen from the consultation process. And this led me to provide more information about what to expect in the correspondence that I sent to people before the consultation. The other thing that I wasn't able to do was show people how to use camouflage products. So the bottom photograph is me demonstrating how to use MS hair fibers on a lady who was experiencing hair loss. So we've all had to adjust to social distancing. So as I mentioned, virtual consultations became the norm. Trico tests were done remotely. And I'm now introducing home-based hair recovery programs, and I'm planning for introducing some new treatments to the clinic. But moving on to the kinds of hair loss that are more common in Black women, I'm just going to focus on two. One is called traction alopecia, which is basically your edges, and the other one is a hair loss condition called CCCA. So basically, traction alopecia has got this kind of classic appearance. So you can see hair loss at the margins, usually around the temples, and you can see an outline of the hair still present, and that's called the fringe sign. And this kind of hair loss is due to repetitive tension on the hair that produces a continuous pulling force on the hair roots. During 2020, there was a fantastic new resource called Africa Derm, which has produced some really nice patient information leaflets about traction alopecia. So this is an extract taken from the website, and it just shows you their patient information leaflet and gives you some idea about the types of treatments that are available. The most important one is prevention. So if you are experiencing traction alopecia, it is reversible at the early stages. So if you can avoid high tension styles, and particularly braids on top of relaxers, then you've got a chance of getting your hair back. The final hair loss condition I'm going to talk about today, which I think is really important to mention, is one called CCCA. It's thought to affect about 5 to 6% of women of African descent. And it stands for Central Cicatrizing Centrifugal Alopecia. It's really important to pick this up early because medical intervention can help to prevent further progression of the hair loss. And this picture shows extensive, permanent hair loss. Now, cosmetically, it can be very disfiguring, impacting significantly on quality of life. The definitive diagnosis is ideally done by a biopsy of the scalp, which is done by a dermatologist. Now, most of the work around this condition has taken place in the United States and South Africa. But one of the more positive aspects about lockdown has been that conferences that you had to travel abroad to attend have been delivered virtually. So there's been some really good quality information from the Cicatricial Alopecia Research Foundation in particular, which has given a lot of technical information about how CCCA can be prevented. Now, my time is limited today, so I'll just finish with this picture, which is basically a picture of a young lady. It's a tricolor image from a young lady who actually approached me early on in lockdown. She'd been experiencing hair shedding. We worked out that it was down to low iron stores, and she started on iron supplementation. And she noticed that her hair was growing back, but she found that her scalp was incredibly itchy. So what was interesting was I tried her on my usual recommended products and it just wasn't working. And I knew from conversations with her that she was adhering to my advice. So I decided that actually we needed to have a good look at her scalp. And so this is her image. So the top row is from the frontal hairline, the side, second row is from the side, and the third row is from the back. And to our surprise, the report came back showing that she actually had very early changes of CCCA. And it recommended that she go and see a dermatologist for a scalp biopsy, which she will try should her hair loss get more severe. But at the moment, she actually hasn't got any significant hair loss. So it was good to be able to pick this up early. So if you are wondering more about why your hair is falling out, there is some further information on the Afrocentrics website about why your hair could be falling out, and also about trichology, which is important to know because there are a lot of different specialists working in the field of hair loss, and they've got different kinds of training and they're regulated differently. And if you have more free time, please feel free to have a listen to the Doctor's Kitchen podcast, which I did with Dr. Rupi Wardler, and it's about eating for your hair. It talks a little bit about general hair loss conditions, and I found it was quite nice to have lunch cooked for me, and also just to talk to another GP about some of the challenges that there are in helping people with hair loss. So that concludes my session, and I'll hand you back to Joan, and I'm sure there'll be time for questions and answers at the end.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very, very much for that, Ingrid.
Welcome.
That was, gosh, it's a minefield, and you know, there just isn't enough time to go into all the different aspects of such a debilitating condition when it comes, you know, because when you're losing your hair, I mean, I see a lot of ladies who just live in hats and scarves because in a way they're hiding and they don't know, you know, how to tackle and, you know, reverse if possible. But one of the key things that's been consistent that has come out this morning from yourself and from Sophie is to try and tackle it early. Don't just leave it and think, oh, it's going to disappear, it will get better. You know, really, really is to recognize it and to a degree accept it, say, this is happening to my head, and, you know, let me seek intervention. So please, please post your details into the chat, because I'm sure there'd be, I mean, there's over 300 participants, 300 guests on the platform, and I'm sure there's people who is going to want to get in touch with you. So please post all your details. And I've never really heard of CCA before. So has that always been around, or is that a new kind of stream to the whole hair loss?
Well, it was first recognised back in 1968, but it had a different name. It was called hot comb alopecia, and but the theory around it wasn't quite correct. They thought that it was down to the use of the processing, and then as women stopped using the hot comb and went on to perms and relaxers, they found that this condition was still happening. So the theory behind why it was happening began to change, and the term was first sort of described and agreed on in 2001. But in the UK, it really hasn't had much attention at all. So, and it's incredibly common in Black women. It's thought that 1 in 20 Black women have got it, but because it's not recognised, because it's not really known about, people just get told, oh, it's balding, it's cosmetic, nothing we can do. And in actual fact, only last year has there actually now started to be a patient information leaflet about it on a website that's used from the British Association of Dermatologists that most GPs use, which you sort of think, this hair loss condition has been around for such a long time. Why has it taken so long for there to be a patient information leaflet about it? But that's a really positive step anyway. So I'm really pleased about that, and hopefully more women will come forward and get help early, and hopefully they won't have the kind of hair loss that you saw in the first photograph.
Yes, yeah. And what I also wanted to ask, I mean, in the world of, you know, trichology, are there a lot, you know, I'm going to assume you're not the only one, but are there a number of you in the profession?
A number of
trichologists in the profession?
Trichologists.
Yeah.
Well, trichologists are, it's not a medical specialty. So essentially, you've got several different ways of training to become a trichologist. So it can vary from a 2-day course to a course of several years. And there, I think there are 5 main courses. And there are.
What I'm actually asking, let me rephrase it. Let me just come clear and correct. Yeah, I as a Black woman would rather come to you and talk to you about my hair. So are there lots of you in the profession?
There are a few of us around, yes.
Right. Is there like a society? So is there one place you could just go and say, right, you know, are you like in a group, or are you just spread out within the industry?
We have a little group that meets together to share you know, to share knowledge, but we're not an official public group. But you can find us through the website of the International Association of Trichologists.
You put that into the chat, please.
Will do.
Yeah? Because I know there's, you know, I mean, like I said, there's over 300 guests on the platform. So if you could put that probably a couple of times in the chat so people know where to go, because this could be a lifeline to some ladies on the platform this morning.
Okay, will do.
And what I also wanted to ask you about was, you know, the role of hormones, and when people, you know, when people are going through hair loss. I know with the menopause, that's a huge factor, and Sophie mentioned about ladies with fibroids, the impact that it has on the hair as well. So what's your sort of view on that?
Well, hormonal changes do have an effect on hair loss. So as you know, as most women know, once you hit the menopause, you do get changes in the hair texture. You start to experience some hair loss at the top and in the middle, some thinning there. Some form of hormonal contraception can cause hair loss as well. It's not all forms, but if they contain hormones called levonorgestrel or norethistérone, that is associated more with hair loss, and that's also in some form of HRT as well.
Oh, okay. And what I also wanted to get my head around, so like they talk about traction alopecia and areata.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between those two, or is it the same thing?
No, they are two different conditions. So traction alopecia is basically hair loss that's caused by traction or pulling. And it's not the kind of pulling that you get when you pluck hair. It's that prolonged pulling that you get for long periods.
So a lot of us who have the hairstyles where you say to the hairdresser, I want it tight, and your face is like all contoured.
No, that's not good for your hairline. It's not good. Yeah, I mean,
I hold my hand up, I've done it.
we've all done it, and we thought, I've been here for 8 hours and it really hurts. And
yeah, it really hurts. So you're just trying to style it out.
Yeah, but if that ever happens, it's best to just take the hair out.
Yeah.
Don't try and treat it or whatever. Just take the hair out. If it's painful like that, it's just not worth it, because you can end up losing your
hair. Yeah.
And alopecia areata is an autoimmune condition. So it's in most cases it's reversible, it's temporary. So you lose circular patches of hair, and then the hair comes back. But there are a few unlucky people where the hair loss can be extensive and they can lose all their hair on their head, eyebrows, eyelashes, body. But that's just a very small minority.
Oh, wow. Dr. Ingrid Wilson, thank you so much for that wonderful, informative presentation. And I truly believe you've really touched a lot of the women on the platform. There might be some kings, but predominantly women on the platform with your wealth of knowledge and experience. So, guests, please, start to get your questions ready at the end when we have the Q&A. I'll be going across to my wonderful co-host, Nadia, after Paris's presentation to pick up any particular salient themes in the chat. So please post your questions into the chat for us. I'm going to move across now to the beautiful, awesome Paris, who's the founder, director of That Good Hair Company. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much, Joan. An amazing talk, Sophie and Ingrid. I loved your video and I loved your presentation, guys. It was really, really informative. And Joan, thank you so much for having me. As always, it's genuinely such an honor to be on this platform and to be talking to all of you. So yes, Joan introduced me. My name is Paris Rivera, and I am the founder of That Good Hair. So when I started That Good Hair, it's because I was going through my own hair journey. I'd been keeping a blog for the last 2 years. My hair was completely bleached, straightened every day, breaking off left, right and center, particularly at the back. If I had my hair all back like this, you would see that kind of like dipped up in the middle. So I had to cut off a lot of my hair and really start to focus on what I'm putting in my hair.
And we would say you've got good hair. Why do you do all these things to your hair?
But the whole reason I called my company That Good Hair is because everyone has that good hair. A lot of the time, it's just that people don't realize that they have that good hair because they don't know what products they should be putting in their hair or how to really maintain healthy hair, which is what good hair is. It's just healthy hair. For me, I had a fragrance allergy. So I was putting on all of these hair products from Cantu or from Luster's pink lotion to Blue Magic, just loads of different products, but I didn't realize that the fragrance in them was making me really sick. I had a permanent cold, and it's because it can cause immune deficiencies, and that's what I was suffering from. So I had that allergy. So I became really passionate about the ingredients that go inside of my hair products. As you can see, I've got them plastered on the wall because it's just something that I really, really care about. And I wanted to give other people the choice to choose the ingredients inside of their hair products. So you can choose your base, you can choose your scent, you can choose the aloe vera, the panthenol, the hemp seed oil, all of the ingredients that go inside of your hair products.
Wow, fantastic. So this morning now, you're going to be giving us, well, I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
And my quick question is, ways of avoiding dryness and damage and how to protect our hair through the season. So, I mean, here in the UK, I mean, we kind of we're international.
Yes.
We've got people from all over the world on the platform. So big up to everybody on the platform. So being here in the UK, it's cold, it really isn't good for our hair right now. So what sort of like tips, strategies can you share with us on the platform this morning in regards to kind of like looking after, protecting our hair, etc.?
Yeah, well, dryness and damage are kind of the main caveats in the natural hair community, the things that we're always trying to battle. And in the winter, it's more than ever because there is less moisture in the air. And with central heating to stay warm indoors, your hair will dry and it will shrink up more than usual. The scalp is more prone to dehydration as well in the winter. With cold weather and intense indoor heating, it can really cause your scalp to become dry and itchy, and for your hair to actually feel brittle. I think I've seen in the chat loads of people have been saying, are there any products for dry and brittle hair? I do have some, but yeah, the winter can make the moisture level inside of your hair actually drop to around like 10% or lower. So your hair is actually drier. It's not in your head. It is genuinely drier. But I have kind of around 5 of my favorite tips for helping with defeating the winter dryness or just defeating dry and damaged hair overall. One thing that I've implemented into my routine during the winter is pre-pooing. So I use our oil, I use our golden hair oil, which is this oil here. It's enriched with baobab and castor oil and loads of oils, babassu oil that really helps to penetrate the hair. Oils play a really important role in your hair. I would say put it in your hair rather than directly on the scalp, because the scalp is its own sort of ecosystem. But if you're doing like a scalp massage or something, oils are great. Just use them kind of sparingly. But oils play a really important role in protecting the hair from damage. This is because obviously the hair produces its own oils, it produces sebum, and the way that our hair produces oils is so that it can coat the hair. But with curly hair or coily hair, it's difficult for that sebum to travel down. That's why putting our own oils inside of our hair, ones that kind of mimic our sebum, so ones like baobab oil or jojoba oil, can be really powerful with helping to keep your hair moisturized. And the reason I said that it's great for pre-poo is because oils have the ability to reduce the amount of water that is absorbed in the hair, which can lead to lower swelling of the hair strands. So whenever you wet your hair kind of swells, and then as it dries, it retracts and goes back to normal. And so the oils can help that. When your hair's wet, when your hair's wet and then it dries, the water kind of, evaporates out of it and makes it a bit drier. So oils help to lessen that effect. So pre-pooing is an amazing thing that I would really, 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 really recommend doing during the winter. I think also if you're struggling with washing your hair too frequently, now is a great time to start co-washing, because co-washing is when you wash your hair with a cleansing conditioner. It is a great method for people with curly or color treated hair because, again, it doesn't really strip your hair of the oils like regular shampoos can. And many people swear by co-washing. It helps to reduce split ends. It helps to reduce breakage as well. Especially if your hair is dry, it might be because you have some product buildup. So using a co-wash can help take off that product and let your hair breathe a bit more. So I would really recommend a botanical cleanser. So we have a custom cleanser at That Good Hair. This is it. You can actually choose the consistency of your cleanser. So you can choose a conditioning or a gel. So the gel is a clarifying wash, whereas the conditioning is a co-wash. So that's really, really helpful for people who want to start co-washing your hair. But I would still recommend clarifying maybe every 4 to 6 weeks to really help take off that build-up. But this is a great way of keeping that moisture in the hair. This one, if you're not doing it, you should be doing it. It is satin pillowcases. So I think Sophie touched on this as well with using satin a lot on your hair. It is a must. I would also really recommend getting a satin pillowcase if you struggle with your satin bonnet and it comes off in the night. Satin is amazing because it keeps your hair healthy and doesn't suck all of the natural moisture out of your hair like cotton pillowcases can. It is great if it's cold outdoors and can stop your hair from becoming brittle and dry because it's not sucking out all of that moisture. And then I would also recommend vitamins. So your hair is healthy from the inside out. It's, as Sophie said, your hair is like a plant. You can't just put stuff on the outside and expect it to work. You have to also feed the soil, and your body is the soil. So giving yourself some vitamins, making sure you're taking your multivitamins so that your body has everything it needs. And you could also start taking biotin, but really you should only be taking biotin if you have a biotin deficiency. But we do get biotin from foods like fish, and I think you get it from leafy greens as well. But I would really recommend taking omega-3 fish oil pills. These are the ones that we used to have when we were kids, but they are really, really good for your hair. The essential omega-3 fatty acids nourish your hair at the follicles, where each strand is connected to your scalp, and can help to strengthen the hair, reducing breakage and dryness. So your hair is impacted by your diet the same way that your skin is. So really make sure that you're taking care of your body, eating foods that are high in vitamins, vitamins A, E, D. They're all really great at helping your hair, and really it's those omega-3s, so getting those essential fatty acids into your diet. Last but not least is protective styling. So protective styling is amazing for helping your hair, for reducing the kind of tension that you're putting on your hair. So this doesn't have to be wigs and weaves, which Sophie and Ingrid have spoken about. It could be plaits, it could be K-rows, it could be buns, it could be bantu knots, flat twists, mini twists, passion twists, head wraps. There's so many different protective styles out there, and having the low manipulation can really, really help your hair to retain that length and retain that moisture. It's kind of like if you have one ant by itself, it's stronger when it's got loads of ants. And by grouping your hair together, if you pull on one strand of hair, it's going to come out. But if you pull on a whole section of your hair, it's not going to come out. And it's the same sort of thing. That's why protective stylings help to keep your hair grouped together and is stronger together. So those are kind of my 5 recommendations for dealing with damage and for dealing with dryness. I think one extra thing with damage is if your hair is damaged, do trim it. Your hair does need to be trimmed, but it doesn't need to be trimmed on a weekly or daily basis, or even really every single month basis. Your hair just needs to be trimmed when it is damaged, when you can look at the ends and you notice that they're splitting and they just look damaged. That's when your hair really does need that trim. Is it okay if I share my screen? Because I just wanted to show a few slides.
Yes, of course, my darling. Go ahead.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you. I hope you're all taking loads of notes, because those were some phenomenal tips. Phenomenal tips. Co-washing, protective styling. So yes, I'm here making my notes. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I'm so glad. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, my darling.
Okay, so this is hang on, if I just go back to the beginning. So yeah, as I was saying, we are That Good Hair. So we make customizable hair care for men and women with waves, curls, coils and locks, allowing you all to choose what goes inside of your hair care products. So these are our products. They're beautiful, if I do say so myself. And what is special about our products is that you no longer have to choose between DIY or trial and error with expensive hair care products. You actually get to choose the ingredients that go inside of your hair products, and we do something that's completely organic, natural, it's handmade, and it comes with free delivery because we want to give people a really amazing experience. As you can see, most of our orders come with a hair journey workbook, and this is for people who are trying to take on their hair journey. We want to make it as simple as possible. We have a routine builder, we have some hair mask recipes if you still love your DIY, we've got some colouring in books for you to do whilst you're deep conditioning. We really want to make it an enjoyable experience for everyone who is taking on their hair journey. It is a natural luxury experience. I think one thing that Black women don't get much of is luxury. We kind of get things that will just help you survive and get by, but we want to bring a natural luxury experience. We have free delivery, we use natural and organic products, you can reorder, and we also care about the environment. So if you order products, we will also do a refill service for you, and we will recycle your bottles as well. Our products are silicone and sulfate free. They're mineral oil free. They're artificial fragrance free. I wouldn't be able to use them otherwise. They're cruelty free. Everything gets tested on myself and a network of people that I have with different hair types, just to make sure that they actually work. But the main thing is that you get to see if they actually work. If a formula doesn't work, you can try out new ingredients and see what actually works for you and understand the ingredients that your hair likes and loves. It's non-toxic and it's completely synthetic colorant free. Something that's super interesting about our hair products is that they will be different colors depending on the ingredients you order. If you order a hibiscus shampoo, your shampoo is going to be bright pink because hibiscus powder is bright pink. If you order a borichi oil in your conditioner is going to be bright yellow because it turns the conditioner yellow. Everything is natural, it's from the earth, it's from God, so I couldn't really recommend it any other way. And lastly, Valentine's Day is around the corner. We have your love lockdown box, so Valentine's Day is sorted if you want to get in there early, obviously, but it's still going to be there up until Valentine's Day. So with our Valentine's Day box, you can choose it either for yourself or there's one for two. So it will come with 2 sets of hair products, chocolates, an Ayurvedic hair mask. So this is again echoing the power of Ayurveda that Sophie spoke about. So that is enriched with hibiscus powder, babasu oil, castor oil, and some really, really great nourishing ingredients. And you can get this gift wrapped and sent to your loved one, or you could get it for yourself. But thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Let me exit this screen share. Oh gosh.
Okay. So is that your presentation done, Sophie?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow. That was a mega fast one. Oh, thank you so much, my darling. Phenomenal tips, wonderful tips. And it's so easy, you know, and now that we're in lockdown, people have got time to just stop and build in these routines into their kind of, you know, their sort of like daily life. Exactly. You know, like Monday I'm going to be doing this to my hair, Wednesday I'm going to be doing this, Friday, or whatever the regime's going to be. Yeah. But people have got time to stop, think. So there's no running now because there's nowhere to run to. Everything is shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got time to, you know, look after ourselves and concentrate and, you know, loving ourselves.
Exactly. Even this year, we started a hair growth group chat, so a hair growth challenge, where for 6 months we're all trying to grow our hair. So we're all following the same routine, all making sure that we're doing our protective hairstyles. It's really, really important that you kind of take this time to better yourself. You want to come out of lockdown better than you went in, if you can. So I think it's really important to start trying to be better and trying to do what's better for your body and for your health.
Yeah, and I love the fact, you know, which is, and there's always been a particular salient themes that come to the presentations. It's always about us using natural products.
Yes.
Yeah. So the information is out there. So, you know, guests on the platform, please connect up with the presenters because they're quite happy to talk to you and give you the information. It's not a secret. You know, it's not a secret. Knowledge is power, and the information is out there. And that's why I try my best to bring you, you know, quality presenters with good information. You know, people who've been on the journey, who are in the industry. So, you know, we've got wonderful Paris here. She's in the industry, and out of her own hair journey has created a fantastic business. So well done, you. And what I love, I've written it down here, you know, our hair should be a natural luxury experience. Mm-hmm. So you normally use that terminology when you're talking about, you know, fast cars or exotic holidays. Exactly. But our hair, you know, it should be a luxury experience.
Exactly. It's the purest form of self-care, I think. When I sit down and I'm doing my hair and I'm putting in the oils or I'm putting in my hair products or I'm giving myself a scalp massage, it is self-love, it's self-care. So I think it's really important to recognize that it's a luxury experience, and you should pamper yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So come on, Queens. This is a fresh start now for a lot of you. You know, wear your hair, your beautiful black hair, your crown, and just rock it. Yeah. So the same way, you know, the platform, we've spoken about diet, and we've spoken about mental health, we've spoken about loads of different topics. Your hair is no different. Mm-hmm. It really is. It is no different. So I'm going to quickly skedoodle across to my fantastic co-host, Nadia. And I mean, the chat is just blowing up. Blowing up.
So many questions. Wow. And we still got people coming in as well.
I know. But
So,
we've still got to keep the train moving.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I better start because there's so many. I've got like nearly 3 pages at this stage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's just so many. I'm not sure we can get through all of them. So let's start. What supplements does Sophie recommend?
Right, Sophie, Queen, my darling, are you there?
Yeah, sorry about that, just unmuting. So I use personally, I use, I'm trying to remember what I'm using. I use Nature's Bounty, and that has a mix of vitamins that are essential in our hair: zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, and also I'm losing trail of thought. I should have had it ready, but the zinc and the iron are so much essential in the hair growth, because a lot of women say that once they've omitted zinc from their actual routine, they've noticed their hairline's gone. Using the multivitamins of biotin in it, that's really helped my hair growth. I also use omega-3 as well. So I don't just put the supplements in I don't just have fruits, vegetables. I have a lot of that. But I used to be a vegetarian. There's only so much nutrients you can gather from those. So I use Nature's Bounty along with omega-3, and that's just worked wonders for my hair. Now, again, I have fine hair, so I've noticed a massive difference using those.
Okay, the other question is, how do we know our own hair density?
Yeah, so I believe, this is my trail of thought. So I always wondered why my hair would, even if I put a hairdryer through it, which I don't at the moment, I avoid heat, I always wondered why my hair just would go dead straight in just one pass through of my hair, or a couple of passes through using a hairdryer. So you can look at your hair strand and tell by the density of the hair, or if your hair absorbs the moisture fast, then that's how you can tell by the density of the hair. If your hair does get dry quicker, so they call it porosity mainly, but I like to say density instead, because you can kind of tell if your hair takes quicker to get wet, then your hair tends to be on the finer side. If it takes longer for the moisture to get in the hair, then that tends to mean that you have thicker density hair.
Can you add to that, Ingrid, from a sort of medical perspective?
Well, I tend to use imaging to decide how dense the hair is. So those TriCollab images that I showed will show you exactly how thick each hair is, how many hairs are coming out of each hair follicle. So that's what I would tend to I tend to use.
Okay.
Me, when I talk about density, density to me just refers to the numbers of strands on your head. So high density means you have a lot of hair strands, and when you refer to someone's hair as thick, it's normally in reference to kind of like the overall hair density. The average person has about 2,200 strands of hair per square inch on their head. So it can be kind of difficult to determine the hair density. A better indicator for most people overall is kind of checking how much you can see your scalp. So when your hair hangs loose and isn't moving, so if you can see your scalp easily, then you most likely have low density hair.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you for that.
Okay, another question. Where do you get the silk towels from? So, you know, they want to know about getting hold of that to help with drying the hair.
So who doesn't want that?
Your silk towels that you use to dry your hair, where do you purchase it from?
Yeah, so for me personally, I just actually bought silk t-shirt because I don't know if the ladies, if Ingrid or Parry will know, but I haven't been able to find silk towels. So I just use a large square piece of silk, which normally gets used as a headband to dry my hair. Or I have silk t-shirts, which I got purchased from either New Look or somewhere like that. And then they do t-shirt head towels, which you can just, when you wash your hair, it looks like a beanie hat like this, and then you just put it on your hair and it dries your hair out. So you can use a t-shirt, a regular t-shirt or a t-shirt towel. And then if you just Google it in, and then you can just find it on there. I'm not sure a company on this platform that do sell them, so I mainly do go to Google just to type it in and then purchase it online.
For me, I think I've not heard of silk towels, but I do use a microfiber towel. So microfiber withdraws less moisture than a regular kind of like cotton towel does. So a microfiber towel is similar as well to a t-shirt. I don't sell them personally, but I know that you can get it from the Happy Hair Company. You could get it from just online. There's loads of different places where you can find microfiber towels.
Yeah, I would just add to that.
Chat?
Sorry?
I'm just saying to Paz, can you post what you just said into the chat?
Sure.
Thank you, my darling.
Just to add to that, Afrocentrics do microfiber towels. That's Black-owned business, and also it's quite easy to get silk scarves for the hair to wear at night from eBay. They come in at under £10 now. They're easy to find now than they used to be.
Okay, Sophie, a question on the applicator you use to deliver the oil.
Yeah, so that applicator, I got that from eBay. So with that one, it only took like a few days to arrive, to be delivered. That one was about, I think, about £7 or something. So that one is so easy to use. It does leak quite a lot, so you can actually use a normal applicator bottle if you don't want to use that one, because it looks like it has like little comb ends on it, but that one pulls out the oil very fast, so you can just stick to using a regular applicator bottle. But I normally get those from either eBay or Amazon.
Okay, so an open question here. How can I loosen my natural curly hair? When I wash it, it becomes very tight. So who'd like to address that?
So overall, with your natural curl pattern isn't something that can always be changed. Your curl pattern is your curl pattern. I think a lot of the time people tend to get looser curl patterns from damage, and then their curl pattern kind of tightens. But there are ways you could get a loose curl pattern. So if you did some sort of curl training, so when my hair was damaged, this is what I did. So I would put my hair in 3-strand twists. To help it kind of shape into the kind of curl that I wanted to, or you could use flexi rods as well to kind of get it to stay in that sort of style. But overall, your curl pattern is your natural curl pattern. You could also use products, if it's a lot of the time frizz, straight after washing your hair is the best time to sort of apply products to help with frizz and help define the curls better. So you could use light gel, you could use a hair butter. So a lot of the time I need to wash my hair today, so please no one take any notice of my hair today, but I will use my hair butter. It's customizable, so as you can see it has my name on it, and I will take a scoop of our creamy hair butter, rub it in between my palms and kind of rake it through my hair, and actually shape the curls how I want the curls to be shaped. But your curl pattern is your curl pattern. All you can do really is define it.
Right. Can we have any tips, Doctor, for hair loss through cancer treatment?
That's an evolving area, actually. recently, it's been recognised that there are certain types of chemotherapy that are more likely to cause hair loss. And also, I think it's important to make sure that that you have access to something called the cold cap. So that's something that helps to retain your hair through chemotherapy. There is a website that is specifically for people who have had chemotherapy. I'll put it in the chat. The name escapes me right now, but basically general rules apply. Make sure that you've got good nutrition, make sure that you care for your hair appropriately.
Okay, thank you. So what's a good moisturizer if you've got very, very dry, brittle hair? I think that's a bit to do with diet as well, but yeah.
So I think when it comes to moisturizers, there's two options. You either have an androgynous moisturizer, which is mainly oils and butters, that would kind of fall into the category of our hair butter. I'm just going to recommend ingredients purely because you can choose the ingredients inside of our hair products. So for dry and brittle hair, I would choose ylang ylang essential oil, which actually helps with moisturizing brittle hair, or sweet orange oil, which again helps with moisturizing brittle hair. And in terms of oils, I would really pick ones that are great at actually penetrating the hair. So jojoba oil, babassu oil. These are really, really great enriching oils that are super amazing for nourishing your hair, but obviously choose what actually works for you. And then there's water-based products. So these are leave-in conditioners. A leave-in conditioner is in the name, you're meant to leave it in, and these can help to moisturize your hair all throughout the day. They're usually a large percentage of water, so over 50% water, and then they've got the oils in there, they've got the butters in there that kind of help to moisturize your hair as well. So you've got the two. I would obviously recommend That Good Hair, but there are some other great ones out there. There's loads of different brands. I would just say do your research and make sure that you find one that has the kind of ingredients that suit you.
Fantastic. Doctor, back to you. Can you get eczema on your scalp, and how would you treat that?
Well, yes, you can. Mostly on the scalp, we call it seborrheic eczema, which is sort of like it looks like an extreme form of dandruff. So good idea to get your scalp examined by somebody if you can. I know it's difficult at this time, but there are specific shampoos that you can use, like Oilatum scalp shampoo, if you're finding that you've got eczema on the scalp.
Lovely. I actually suffer from that, so that was good. Thank you. Right. What's food is good for the hair? If we're just looking at food, I suppose diet we're talking about.
Yeah. So I found firstly, water is a primary thing. If you're not having like at least a minimum of 2 liters of water a day, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a fail. I've noticed a massive difference where I've been really, as a strict regimen, using the water. I also have things like that are high in fiber. Every day I will have strawberry, raspberry, blueberries, apple, pear, and if you don't want to eat those fruits on its own, and I eat orange as well, so if you don't want to eat those on its own, then you can. I do have a NutriBullet, so I actually blitz it up with a bit of oat milk, and then I'd use stevia as well, so I do omit having sugar. But if I do use sugar, I use a natural sugar. And even things that are high in potassium, like bananas. I don't personally like bananas as much, but I try and incorporate things with potassium in it. And also sulfur. I eat onions every day. I eat mushrooms every day. And then I try and add in things like even the herbs like fenugreek and stuff like that, turmeric, black pepper, just things like that to help my hair health. And I've noticed a huge difference doing that.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Now, there was lots of questions. How often should I wash my hair? We're talking about people that have locks, natural, permed. I think that's, you know, that's kind of a big question there on that, because people are confused as to, you know, I can go weeks without washing my hair, just saying. So what would be sort of not an ideal, but a recommended?
Once a week, basically, yeah. We don't need to wash our hair every day, because as I mentioned earlier, our hair grows away from the scalp, so it's not our hair that gets dirty so much, it's our scalp. And in recent years, there's been a lot of interest on what we call the scalp microbiome, the environment of the sort of bacterial environment of the scalp, and its connection with certain hair loss conditions. So I'd say, just to get that balance, make sure that you cleanse your scalp once a week.
Okay, great. Someone said here that they had their hair cut and then it never grew after that. Doctor, have you come across this type of problem?
I would be wondering if there was anything else that was going on as well, in terms of diet, hair care practices, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'd need more information than that, to be honest with you.
Okay, lovely. Are you able to post where the Black Hair NHS clinic is?
Yeah.
So that everybody can get that detail? That was one of the stuff. And I think we could be going on and on with questions, but I think it's best when you open up the floor and get people to ask some of the questions that I've missed. We've just got so many.
Okay, that's fine.
Absolutely, so many questions.
Well, you see, well, our hair, you see, and there aren't many places that we can actually go and talk about our hair, our beautiful black hair. So I can understand why there's such a barrage of, you know, questions and, you know, people seeking advice, etc. So can I just quickly remind people that we are a walking group and Zooming on the platform for the next couple of weeks. So please do follow us on Eventbrite to be kept up to date of forthcoming events. This event is being recorded and will be released on our Queen's YouTube channel, which will be launching very, very, very soon. So please continue to take notes. And, you know, Queens, are you having a bad hair day? Not anymore, because you are being educated. You have got there's been such a wealth of information and, you know, knowledge and experience that's trickled right through the platform. So thank you all presenters. So I'm actually going to open up the floor now. So if anybody would like to ask a question, could you please put your hand up and I will come to you. If you could please put the camera on so we're not talking to a black screen, and say your name, where you're calling in from, and ask your question to one of our presenters. So has anybody got their hand up? No. Do you want to pitch in with another question, please?
Okay.
Oh, hold on. I've got a question here. Sorry, someone's jumped in. So I've got Jackie Green. Hi, Jackie. Welcome to the platform. You're able to put your camera on so we can see you, so you can go ahead and ask your question. Hi, welcome to the platform. Are you there, Jackie? Been muted for some reason. Yoga YV. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the platform. You have to put your camera on so we can say hello to you and we're not talking to a black screen. And where you're coming in from, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. I'm in London.
Good morning, my darling. And welcome. I think I remember you from last week.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I like to ask a lot of questions. I've been posting questions in the chat as people have been doing their presentations.
Oh, fantastic. What would you like to ask?
A lot of the questions have been answered, so I appreciate that. Just two questions. Does anybody recommend the hair heating cap number one? And I'm going to try what Sophie recommended, because I've lost about 2/3 of my hair during lockdown, so that's one of my story. Yeah, so the hair heating cap, and also Sophie recommended a product, I think it was Amula, Can you say where you can get that product from? Thank you.
Yeah, so firstly, for the heating cap, I believe if that's for steam treating, I actually got my hair steam cap from Amazon, and that one I actually do a hot oil treatment every single week during my wash days, and that's helped my hair along massively. I leave and I actually do a hot oil treatment and I do a deep condition, so I do them an hour at a time. I really do take my time on actually steaming the hair. And secondly, I use Mbunu. So Mbunu's like herbs. I get it from Chubby Organic UK, and with that actually helps to moisturize the hair. A lot of women in Chad in Africa actually use that herb, and what it does is it acts as a natural detangler, and a detangling side is the most crucial part, I think, of the hair regime, because once you detangle, then you're not having problem actually doing your hair, and you won't suffer as much hair loss. I used to get very clumped hair, and my hair is quite fine, so I need all the hair I can get. So Mbunu is like amazing as a detangler or for a daily moisturizer. So I'll post the link again to that one if anyone wants to actually purchase it. It comes in a big pack, so it can actually last you for maybe half a year. And I wouldn't go by their own instructions. They tell you to use like maybe a cup of leaves and a litre of water. You don't actually need that much. You just use it by the trained eye, like add a little bit of water at a time till it becomes like a kind of thick texture. So almost like looking at a gel or something, a very loose gel, and that's what it actually looks like. And that's been perfect for my hair regime.
Anybody want to add to that? Or? All right, unmute. We can't hear you, Ingrid.
Sorry about that. The only thing I would add is it's been noticed that if some people actually are losing their hair during this COVID pandemic, and actually hair shedding can be a sign that you've had COVID. You may not have had any of the other symptoms, but it's been found that about they're estimating that about 58 days after the initial infection, people are losing their hair. So if this is it's a possibility that could be a contributor to hair loss during this time.
Wonderful, thank you. We have Sister P, Aka Paulette. You've got your hand up. So if you'd be kind enough to put your camera on so we can see you.
Yes, hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Basically, what I wanted to find out is what's good to get the lint out of locks. Does anybody know that?
No, do any of you know anything about locks? I think were you on our locks? We did a lock session a couple of months ago now.
I wasn't here. I didn't get the link for that, most probably.
No.
Sorry, but yeah.
Oh, my darling. Our presenters can't answer that.
Oh, they don't know.
Sorry.
But I can put you in touch with somebody who'd be able to.
Oh, somebody's put an answer in the chat.
Yeah, somebody's put
vinegar. All right.
Yeah, somebody's put something up. All right, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, my darling.
All right.
We've got, is it Melissa? So Melissa, if you'd like to put your camera on and say where you're calling in from.
Greetings, Queens. Thank you. A wonderful presentation and interesting. I've gone on a natural hair journey. I use strictly Areata for my hair and my daughters. And Paris, I've just sent you something on your Instagram. So yeah, I had no idea about you. Just wanted to ask if it's possible for the panelists to talk more about using wooden combs and wooden tools for detangling our hair, because I think that a lot of us are still using plastic, which obviously drags our hair. And I don't think a lot of people know about it. I've been using wooden combs for absolutely years, and my daughters are 11 and 10, and I don't use anything but wooden combs on their hair. I buy wooden combs for my friends, and I think a lot of people are still using plastic combs in their hair. So I wanted to see if the panelists could shed some more light on that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I also use wooden combs, and they're actually amazing. They're so much healthier for your scalp. They're more gentle, so they don't actually like bruise or scrape the scalp as much as plastic can. And they are also great. I think I seen people who soak like their combs in oil. I haven't actually done this, but they soak their combs in oil, and that actually distributes the oil throughout the hair as well, which is really, really amazing. They do have a lot of benefits. Unfortunately, I'm not super knowledgeable on the subject, so you might actually be a bit more than me, but I do know that it is better, more gentle on your hair as well.
Can I just add to that as well, Paris? I know Big Nannies does wooden combs, but I actually I don't use combs at all. I used to, and I used to invest in like the denim brush and also very expensive brushes. But then I just found that using my fingers is the most quickest, effective thing. I know a lot of people might not want to go down that route, but I think the finger detangling has been just easier to use. Your hands are your tools. That's I don't know if anyone will agree with me, but that's what I found the most effective way to get through my hair. So
could I ask Rudy, my co-host, could you mute everybody, please, and then we'll just come back on as the presenters and the panelists. Yeah. Yeah, Rudy? Okay, right, let's move on to the next question. Faye Lewis, welcome to the platform, another one of our regulars. You could put your camera on and let us know where you're coming in from. Are you there, Faye? No? Okay, I shall move on. Christine, you've got your hand up. If you'd like to put your camera on and let us know where you're calling in from, and go ahead and ask your question to one of the panelists.
Is my camera on? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a question for Paris and for Ingrid. So Paris, I think you said your products are bespoke to individual people. So one, I'm assuming they're quite natural then.
Yes.
Yeah, so you obviously won't have so many shelf preserving ingredients. So once they're opened, how long do they have, how much life do they have once your product is opened?
Yes, my products do use preservatives. So I do put a preservative inside of my hair products, and I also put in an antioxidant as well to help preserve it for longer. But after testing my products and like paying to get them tested and all that good stuff, they have a shelf life of about 1 year and 6 months. But I just say a year, you'll probably be finished with it by that point anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, after being open, they last 1 year.
Right, okay, thank you. Ingrid, years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with alopecia, and the specialist said to her, don't bother looking for any Chinese herbalist or anyone that says her, tries to get her hair back quicker than it will grow back naturally. So my question was to you is it true that they don't really put a lot of research into hair loss or alopecia because it's not life-threatening? That's number one. And the other thing it was, oh God, I forgot what I was going to say now. But yeah, so they said that it's not life-threatening, so they don't do a lot of research into hair loss. Is that true?
I think in comparison to other medical conditions, there hasn't been as much done on hair loss conditions. But having said that, there's been a lot of attention paid to alopecia areata in recent years. In fact, much more so than many other hair loss conditions. So I think it's a very unpredictable condition, and so it's been very frustrating for dermatologists, who are the hair specialists. Well, they specialize in skin, hair and nails, but they are the ones that have got the potential to prescribe very potent medications for alopecia areata, if they decide so. And just over the last few years, there's been some really exciting developments for some people who've had very severe alopecia areata. These drugs are called JAK inhibitors. So it's something that's moving on all the time. And the other thing I would ask is, how old was your daughter when she was first diagnosed?
My daughter was, I think she was about 9.
Yeah.
I kind of put it down to, because it's an autoimmune disease, right? But I did some reading about it at the time, but she's 34 now, my daughter. But I did some reading at the time, and I realized that I think hers was triggered by a trauma, because it can be triggered by a trauma. And I read about Matt Lucas and Duncan Goodhue, and I thought, well, that time my daughter had her finger trapped in a door, and then she started with hair loss, because nobody else in my family has any type of alopecia. So that's the only thing I can put it down to. And she has only ever had alopecia areata. That you just reminded me of the other thing I was going to ask, because they told me that the thing is with alopecia is you don't know, you've got 3 main levels. You've got the totalis and the universalis, but you don't know what level of alopecia that you have until you have it. So you could have alopecia for the longest time. It could change. You could get that trigger again, and you can lose more, or you can get the regrowth.
Yeah. What's been really interesting is that over the last year, there has been some really interesting research published which predicts how well you're going to do on certain treatments for alopecia areata. It was literally only published last year, and it involves trichoscopy, where you're looking at the scalp in great detail, and there are certain characteristics that you see in alopecia areata. So you might see what we call exclamation mark hairs, where the hair is bigger at the end than it is nearer the root, that sort of thing. Pigtail hairs, little curly hairs, and they used 6 different parameters and sort of gave some scores are positive and some scores are negative, and they could work out if you looked at the scalp at 2 months, you could predict how well you were going to do at 6 months' time. But this was only published last year. But what's really well established about alopecia areata is that if children get it, the prognosis is not as good. So the chance of recovery is not as good. And also if they have eczema as well, that's something that's also a negative predictor. But it is well recognized that stress is a trigger, and even depression as well. People who have depression, they tend to get alopecia areata more. But it's not to write it off completely. I would still say to people, if you've got really severe hair loss that is likely to be due to alopecia areata, I would still try and see a dermatologist who specializes in hair loss, because there are some new medications that have come out that really do look very promising.
Yeah, it's weird, because my daughter had, she was in her teens, and we went back to the doctors, and she looked into the scalp with a microscope, whatever you guys use, and she says I can't see any hair follicles at all. But funny enough, when she started getting the prescriptions to have a wig, because she's allowed to have a wig every year, so her hair, because her hairline, I don't know if you can see me, it was bald from here to here. She had hair there, but from here to here it's completely bald. But after about, I don't know, about a year or so using the wigs, because I used to plait her hair before she could put the wig on, so the hair was starting to grow. I'm just like, what? Why did it wait till now? Like, you've got your prescriptions, it's wait till now to grow back. And that's what happened. She also lost her eyebrows, and she didn't have any eyebrows or very few lashes for a long time. Lo and behold, she goes over to get the tattoos done on her eyebrows, And then she said, Mum, I'm getting eyebrows. Do you know what I mean? So it's really weird. So I don't know if it's, you know, the stimulation of the needles that went in there or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I've just allowed my daughter to let everything go natural. Don't do anything, because I just went off what they told me when she was young. You know, don't do anything, just wait till it comes back naturally if it comes back. And that's what I did. And she's had some hair growth, and she's had losses come back, go. But that's how it's been the whole time. But they did tell me that you wouldn't know what level until it happened.
So she got hair regrowth after she started to have her eyebrows?
Yeah, she went and had her eyebrows tattooed.
Yeah.
And she didn't have any brows then. She used to just like do them like me, like she just paint them in.
Yeah.
And she went and had the tattoos done, and then the eyebrows started coming back.
Do you know what? That's really interesting, because it sounds like your daughter she's got hair loss at the back, and that's called that's the ophiasis pattern. And there is a report in the literature that microneedling has had some benefit. I'm not saying go away and do this, by the way. Get a diagnosis first and talk it through with a doctor. But there is something in the literature saying that microneedling has helped, but it's not an accepted treatment at the moment.
Well, funny enough, she's what the specialists, the hairdressers that the NHS uses, where she goes to get the wigs.
Yeah.
Lady who, when she went and got a wig the other day, the lady had a client that was coming in to have the microneedling. And she said, do you want to come down and watch? And the same thing that Sophie said on our very first hair program, she used that roller. What she done, I can't remember what the treatment was, but she rolled it with the micro thing, and then she just squirted some proteins into the scalp, and that was a treatment that was being. And the lady that was having it done is a white lady, but it was quite successful for her. Do you know what I mean? She was getting her hair growth back. So I did consider getting one of those rollers for Lois, but I'm conscious of the fact that if you don't use it properly, you could end up with infection or anything like that. So I'm a bit hesitant.
I think what would be really good, probably if you have a one-to-one. I know you do consultations, don't you, Ingrid? So probably if you have like a one-to-one consultation, that would probably be the best way to.
I do, but before we finish this point, I would just like to make a point about microneedling. I would just say, yes, there is some evidence that it helps, but just be sure that it's not something that I would recommend people do at home, unless you can be absolutely sure that your environment is clean, and also that you're absolutely sure of the hair loss condition. So it's not something that I recommend to people at the moment. It's people's personal choice, but you do run the risk of infection if your instrument is not clean.
Thank you. I've got a question from Faye Lewis. Thank you very much for your question, Christine. It's really appreciated. So Faye, one of our dedicated guests regularly on the platform. Welcome. You need to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Unmute. Let me ask to unmute.
Now?
Yes, we can hear you. Loud and
thank goodness. I was trying to unmute, but it says the host needed to unmute me. I've got a quick question.
So you're Faye, and where are you coming in from, Faye?
Coming in from Spain, from Malaga.
Lovely. Welcome.
I've got two really quick questions. One for the doctor. I started having hair loss with the menopause. And what I did last year when I was in the UK, I actually shaved all my head off. And whilst it's not it is growing back, because you can see growth, but at the side, it's just like, it's a bit like alopecia, but it just doesn't grow past this fuzz. I mean, so it doesn't exactly show like as a baldness, but there's a fuzz there, but it doesn't go anywhere past that fuzz. Is there anything that I can do? And the second question to the other co-host that's selling the products: do you ship internationally?
Unfortunately, we don't at the
it's
moment.
Just like I'm here every week, and then nothing comes to Spain. For goodness' sake!
I'm so sorry.
Well, who's going to pick up the first point, the first question that Faye asked?
Well, it depends on what the kind of hair loss is that you have. So can we see that's your natural hairline, is it? And
that's my natural hairline. It comes back here, but I'm
okay.
saying since for about 5 years, nothing has really grown, although there's hair there, but it doesn't grow anywhere past there. That's why I have to keep cutting this down, shaving it down to blend it. But as I said, more or less, I don't know if it's menopausal or I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I've tried everything.
Yeah, I mean, that one would, I'm sorry, that one would require a more detailed consultation, because I'm thinking that you could have a certain specific kind of hair loss that may not recover, well, that has a specific kind of medical treatment. If you've got a little bit of a line left there, then it's most likely to be traction alopecia, which is treated by, you can use minoxidil or Regain. And obviously avoid high tension styles.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll have to contact you.
Fantastic.
No, we don't ship internationally. I'm really trying to be a sustainable brand, and so obviously the flight included in transporting internationally is the main reason why we don't ship internationally at the moment. But I might start operations internationally at some point, so hopefully.
Okay.
Can I actually did, because with the hair that's missing at the front, I used to have the same issue. So I did, of course, I used the derma roller. I know Ingrid is saying that she doesn't really recommend it to use at home, but we are at home at the moment. And I know a lot of people are going to the extreme of saying, well, they're going to actually go to someone that does scalp injections. Now, that was something that I was adamant I wasn't going to do. So I'd say, maybe if you don't want to use a derma roller, but there's so many tutorials on YouTube on how to sanitize it correctly. I actually make sure I used to work in a hair salon as well. So there's certain things you can use, like to sterilize your utensils. So I've put a link to one of my videos where it has all that information and links to how to use it effectively, not just by myself, but by other videos. And also I do scalp massages every day. So I actually got a new scalp massager, and that one, I just use it on my head every day, every single day, and I time it out in each section. So I section it in 4, and around the front of my hair and the nape of my head. So I actually do the scalp massages of 5 minutes in each area. And that scalp massage, I actually got it from, I'll have a look and I'll put the link in the chat. But the scalp massages have been perfect for actually stimulating that area. So I mix with it the rosemary oil, because rosemary oil is like an equivalent to the minoxidil, and also that's an essential oil. And then I use a carrier oil, which is, for me, I either use coconut oil or Jamaican black castor oil to mix in with my essential oil to get those hair follicles stimulated.
Thank you very much for that. Nobody else has got their hand up in the chat, which is fine. I'm going to come back across to you, Nadia. I'm going to take probably another 2 questions.
Okay.
Is there anything that hasn't been picked up so far? If you could drop those in for us.
Okay, so really, I'm getting a feel for that. There's so much things available that what sort of routine? So, for example, when would you use the henna? So, is it once a week, once a month? So it's really putting a routine in place that you can then have, a hair care for your individual requirements.
Yeah, so the henna, I use that every day in my hair oil. So what I did is I used a henna, which is organic, there's no kind of dye in it or anything. So that one's called New Pearl Henna. And with that one, I actually added a teaspoon of it into my essential oil. I put the oil into a thing where I can warm the oil up, and then I put it into my applicator bottle to cool it down. I use it every single day on my scalp, which is fine to do. Or if you want to do an extreme strengthening kind of treatment on your hair, and that's something where it's better to learn a routine first, because I use an Areata practice. With that, then you can actually put some of the henna and use it maybe every 2 to 3 months. Do a treatment with your favorite conditioner, deep conditioner, and use it as a mask. So that's something that I do every so often, maybe every 3 months, and that's a kind of strong protein treatment. And that's something that somebody put in about Curly Proverbs. She's one person I've taken a lot of inspiration from on how to use Areata. So that's how I use my henna, but I do use the henna in the oil every single day, because it's actually strengthening my hair without making it too dry or brittle, and it's worked perfectly. And my hair's actually gone from an ashy color to a really dark color.
Excellent. There's someone asking about Telly Logan. I can't even pronounce the second name. So doctor, I can't pronounce it correctly.
It's telogen effluvium.
Okay, yes. So we got questions on that. Could you give us
as kind of an overview?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, basically, telogen effluvium is a form of hair shedding. And the name basically it's split into two. Telogen refers to the phase of the cycle of growing and shedding of the hair. And the effluvium basically means shedding. So when our hair grows, it has a growth phase, which most of our hair is in, called anagen. That lasts about 1,000 days, but it's shorter in different hair types. And then you have a transitional phase called catagen, which is 10 days, and telogen is the resting phase, where the hair isn't growing anymore, and that lasts about 2 to 4 months. So what happens is that when your body has some form of stress, whether it's an accident, bereavement, COVID, your hair growth goes prematurely into that last phase called telogen. So when we have that stress, we don't get hair shedding immediately. We get it about 2 to 4 months later. Now, if the cause is something definite, like an operation that's done and you've recovered from, your hair will recover in about 6 to 9 months. But if there is an ongoing cause for your hair to be shedding, like low iron stores or low vitamin D levels, then your hair loss will continue unless you address the underlying reason for the hair shedding.
Lovely. And there's something about biopsy. You know, you mentioned that. Could you just expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so a biopsy is when a sample of the skin is taken. So what you have is something like a screwdriver with a hollow inside, and you kind of bevel into the skin under anaesthetic. It's done by dermatologists. It's not done by GPs or trichologists. This is a specialist investigation, and they take the sample, send it away to the laboratory. It gets looked at under the microscope. The report normally takes up to a month to come back, but you get to look at the scalp in greater detail. So for certain types of hair loss, particularly the scarring kinds of hair loss, like CCCA, it's the best way to definitively diagnose it. Having said that, there are only a handful of doctors who are trained to look at scalp biopsies in detail. So again, I would say if you are in the London area and you're thinking that you might have a form of scarring hair loss or potentially permanent hair loss, I would see if you can seek out an appointment with a dermatologist who's got a special interest in ethnic hair.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Inversion method, does it work? Inversion, INVERSION, inversion method, I don't know.
What is that?
Yeah.
I'm sure something to do. I'm only guessing because I've seen it so many times and then my head's gone blank on it. Isn't that where you put your head upside down and you're massaging your head or something? I believe so. But that's something where you can just do general exercising and scalp massages.
Okay, someone has said that's correct. Okay.
I'm going to pick up somebody who's got their hand up. Sarah Parry, I'm going to lower your hand. If you could put your camera on and introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming in from, because we're going to be wrapping up soon now. Sarah Parry, do you still want to ask a question to one of our panelists? Hello, Sarah Parry? Okay, you're not there. Right, last question then, Nadia, and we're going to wrap this up, my darling.
Oh, wow. Last question. Bit more information, co-washing. And what's pre-pooing? Pre-pooing?
Pre-pooing is a oil treatment that you do before you shampoo your hair. The basis of a pre-poo is that you put the oil on your hair and it helps seal in the moisture, so that way when you wash your hair, you're not actually stripping your hair of its natural oils. It just keeps that moisture in. And then co-washing is when you wash your hair with a cleansing conditioner. Cleansing conditioners have surfactants, which are the actual soaping agents and the cleansing agents within a shampoo or within a cleanser. So when you're co-washing, you're doing it with a conditioner that has these in as well. So it's a lot more gentle. It can help with detangling, and again, doesn't strip your hair of its natural moisture, and helps it to kind of retain that.
Lovely. That's it from me.
Thank you, Madame. Sarah said that she can't unmute herself. So Sarah, can you put your hand up again? Then I'll ask you to unmute. I'll see if I can ask you to unmute. Let me see. Dawn Pollis, would you like to quickly ask a question? So you could put your camera on, introduce yourself and let us know where you're coming in from.
Sorry, hello.
Who's
Sorry, there might be some noise because I've got builders in the house. But yes, my name's Dawn, and I have been diagnosed with CCA, and it's in the middle of my hair. The doctors did tell me to use a tropical lotion, which at first it was not too bad because it kind of calmed it down because it's very inflamed or irritable. So that kind of disappeared after that sensation. But then after I had to, when it started going, he told me to use Regain, and probably to use the tropical method, tropical lotion, just the weekends. Done that, but it's actually spread the patching of the hair, the bordering of the hair in the middle. And also it got a bit, not so much sensitive, but like little prickles, like little prickle heat. So I've stopped it. So I'm natural anyway, my hair, have been for like 30 years. And
the actual question, my darling.
Yeah.
What's the question you want to ask?
The question is about what is the best thing to do now, because it's the Regain hasn't worked, the tropical lotion hasn't, so I'm just using just essential oil. Some of the things irritate my hair, like the black castor oil, so it's looking at next best thing if you are natural anyway, because I've tried lots of products which I seem to be allergic to. The only thing that's working at the moment, it seems, is Dax, but would it come back my hair? It's a bit patchy, you know, in the middle, so it's just looking at what I've heard everything, but I'm just so confused because there's so many products and you all said really good things, but it's going through that trial period. It does take time, but sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. And
is this something you can answer, Ingrid?
Yes, I mean, my first question is, have you seen a dermatologist about this? Is it a dermatologist that you're under? Is that your doctor? You're on mute.
Yeah, because I think because we're going to be wrapping up soon, so
right, I'll answer it as quickly as I can. Essentially, CCA is a potentially permanent hair loss condition. You've done a couple of the right things. Other things that can be done in the initial stages of inflammation is doxycycline, which is an antibiotic with anti-inflammatory properties. I would say the most important thing also in terms of hair care, keep your hair natural, use an antifungal shampoo, and see if you can get a referral to Dr. Ophelia Dads's clinic, because there are some more potent medications that can be tried. There is a really helpful patient information leaflet, and I'll put the link in the chat, but it's from the British Association of Dermatologists, and that will tell you about some of the basic things that can be done to help at least slow down the progression of hair loss.
Okay, that's fantastic. Right, let me quickly go to Sarah Perry, because she had her hand up a long time and we couldn't unmute her. So can you unmute yourself now, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Right, could you put your camera on so we can see you, so we know who we're speaking to? And
I'm actually in the process of doing my hair at the moment, so it doesn't look very nice.
This is a hair platform.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to the platform. Where are you coming in from?
I live in North London.
Ah, right, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Quickly ask your question for us.
I have dry, itchy, flaky scalp. I've got the waist length locks. How do I cleanse scalp without actually having to wash my whole head?
Okay. Who would like to quickly pick that up?
That's a really great question. So I know that for people who have braids, they often kind of struggle with the same sort of thing of washing their scalp without washing their whole hair. Some people get like a spray bottle with some like shampoo and some water and mix it up and spray it into their hair. We are actually coming out with a hair product soon. If you wanted to message me, I would happily make you the hair product. The only problem is that we can't find the right bottles that we need, the right looking bottles. Otherwise we would come out with this hair product, but it's basically a no rinse foam shampoo. So you can just pump out the foam and literally like concentrate on the areas that you need. It's really good for people who have like done the edges as well, because it's just, okay, put in that shampoo, wash it out, and then you can redo it without having to wash your hair to get out the gel. But I would say if not, then just take a spray bottle with some water, some shampoo, and you can kind of cleanse your scalp, and then just use like a wet flannel to kind of like get the dirt out, if that's helpful for you.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes and no, because if you've got, I get build up.
Yeah.
Like your flaky scalp. So unless I can get that out of my scalp, then it's just going to stay in the hair when it's retightened.
I completely understand. It is a bit of a difficult question. I would say have a look online or follow some. I'll actually send you some accounts of people who have locks and kind of talk about their hair journey with locks, and maybe you can kind of DM them directly. If you just message me in the chat, then I'll just message you back with the names of people who are experts kind of in this area.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Janet G, you've got your hand up. Let me lower your hand, ask to unmute you. So if you could put your camera on, you're the last question for the morning. Are you there, Janet G? Hello? No. Well, on that note, can I thank everybody for being on the platform this morning. I'm going to give each of my presenters an opportunity to say their goodbyes. And if you've got any tips, any words of wisdom, advice to give to the guests on the platform this morning.
Joan, I've just come up with a couple more where just these last few things where they're asking whether sea moss is good for the hair. People are just asking a couple of questions on that. So in their wrap up, if anybody could just quickly talk about some of those products to use. Does anyone use sea moss in their hair?
I've tried sea moss before, but I actually prefer to consume it. It's much more powerful to consume it, and then it just takes a long time to actually prepare, and you have to make sure you're storing it in the right place because it can just go off very quickly. But I think it's better to consume because sea moss is a very powerful It's got so many nutrients in it. So all you have to do is soak it in water, and then you can blend it up and then just drink it with a bit of, you can even add things like coconut milk or oat milk. I don't like to use dairy, so you can do it that way. It's better to consume it than put it on your hair.
Okay. And then one more, what's the natural dye for grey hair?
Henna.
Henna
is good, yeah. So I've put the link in the chat. I know a lot of people use carrot, but for people who don't want to blend carrots up but they want to eat it, it's just a lot more effective to use the henna. But carrot juice is another thing. They don't actually, not that I've seen, it's very hard to find carrot oil online, so it's better to use henna.
Okay, oh, that's brilliant. So is that it, my darling?
That's all from me.
Fantastic. I know that, I mean, we couldn't get through all the questions. There's just the chat. There's so much in there. And I think I say this most weeks, I can see us doing this again. Truly, because I mean, it's such a huge topic. I mean, we've only just touched on, in a way, a couple of elements to do with our hair. And it's been really thought-provoking, enlightening, empowering. And I really hope, you know, guests on the platform this morning have taken away a wealth of knowledge. And there is help out there. So presenters, please ensure you post all your contact details into the chat. Don't forget, if you want to follow the Queen's Walking group, follow us on Eventbrite to be kept up to date with forthcoming events. This session has been recorded, which will be released on our Queen's YouTube channel very, very soon. So watch this space. So who would like to go first in saying their goodbyes and farewell for the morning?
I'm happy to. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Thank you, Joan, a million times over for having us all on the panel. Everyone, I've dropped my contact details in the link in the chat box, so please contact me. You can find me on Instagram at thatgoodhairuk, via email at paris@thatgoodhair.co.uk, or you can find me on my website at www.thatgoodhair.co.uk. But thank you so much for joining, and don't forget, if you want to order anything, use the code BLACKOWNED for 10% off. Thanks, guys.
Wonderful. Are you going to fight now between yourselves now? Ingrid, Sophie, Ingrid, come on, who's going to go next? Sophie, go ahead, my darling.
I'll go ahead. Yes, so thank you so much, Joan, for having me on today's panel. And then thank you as well, Paris and Ingrid. I really love the information that you've given. So big love to you both. So my channel is Sophie K. Davis, if anyone wants to link my channel. I'm also on Instagram. I have put my contact details in there if anybody wants to contact me personally. And my kind of word of advice is just to be consistent and be patient, because sometimes we kind of say, oh, this hasn't worked for me. Some things don't actually work for people. So I'd say see what works for you. Once you do have that ideal product that you're using and you're seeing the result, then just stick to it and be patient, because our hair in general takes like a long time to see its optimal health. So I'd say really stay consistent and don't give up. That's when I actually saw the result, when I didn't actually give up and I stuck to consistent routines. So there is hope.
There is. Dr. Ingrid.
Well, I'd like to finish by thanking Joan for the invitation, and also thank you to Paris and Sophie for your fantastic presentations, and to everybody that's given up their time here this morning. I suppose my take-home message would be, if you are experiencing hair loss, please get help early. There can often be several reasons why you're experiencing hair loss. So there isn't one magic solution, but just make sure that you get the right help and don't suffer in silence.
Absolutely. You know, and we are a community, and, you know, I've said time and time again. I don't know if I said it on the platform this morning, you know, we have the experts within our community, and it's just fantastic that, you know, I've been able to create this platform, and these are experts in our community sharing their knowledge. You know, we want everyone to be, especially in a time like this, we want everyone to be well and happy. So in a way, you know, we're individually wrapping our arms around our community, whether it's to do with hair, mental health, diet, etc., etc. You know, so presenters, you have been absolutely fantastic, and big hugs, big thank you. Everything's got to be virtual, so big hugs, big thank you to all of you. You know, you've been absolutely fantastic. Please post your contact details into the chat, and I'm going to wrap this session up. So don't forget, if anybody wants to inquire about the Queen's Walking Group, please contact me. We're based in South East London, because when we can start walking again, we'll be out there trotting and you won't see us zooming. So Saturday morning, we'll be out there trotting. We'll be somewhere in a park somewhere doing our leg bums and tums, or doing our line dancing, you know, because it's all about keeping fit and healthy as well. So thank you all so much for being on the platform. So don't forget, look out for the YouTube channel that's coming, Queen's YouTube channel, and all the events that we've done. You know, when we did Queen's Black Heel Rocks, you know, the first one, that's going to be out there. This will be up on the platform as well. And last week, we actually launched the Queen's 30-day intermittent fasting challenge with Joe Dash, and that's going to be absolutely amazing. I've already got the book. Yeah, so there's going to be 60 of us starting on the 1st of February, a 30-day fasting intermittent challenge. Whoop, whoop. And it's all queens. And I have a lovely surprise for the kings, because I've had a lot of kings contact me to say, oh, is it only for the ladies? No, it's not. So kings, your challenge is coming in March. I'm going to talk more about that in a few weeks' time. So for now, I bid you all a wonderful Saturday. Have a lovely Saturday. I'm going to get the stuff for my soup. Yes, I'm going to go cook my soup. I'm going to enjoy my Saturday. And we're actually finishing pretty early today, which makes a change. So that'll be nice. We can go and enjoy the day. But thank you, everybody. You know, all the people who've contributed to the chat, our presenters, you know, and what's the key message? There is help out there. So queens, no more bad hair day. Yeah, do not sit and suffer in silence. No more bad hair day. Every day is going to be a good day now. Yeah, you can follow our presenters on their different social media platforms. You know, there is help out there. So it bids me, I wish you all a fantastic day. Love to you all, big hugs. And next week we've got the Black Business event. So that's going to be absolutely phenomenal again. Yeah, we've got, and Paris, you'll be on the platform, ain't it, Queen? Yeah, talking about that good hair. And we've got a wealth of, you know, Black owned businesses coming onto the platform. It's going to be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The last time was amazing, and next week is going to be, you're going to be so surprised, because just to know there are so many Black businesses out there. And the feedback that I got from the last one was, we never knew about them. Yeah, you know, we never knew. So I'm going to be bringing you a whole, you know, package of different businesses doing all sorts of products to the platform next week. So I hope you know, book your tickets early, get in there quick. Yeah, it's going to be a wonderful morning. So I'm going to stop my recording. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really and truly.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Presenters. Bye.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Good Saturday, everybody.
Okay.